I do.
I'm here to help you.
Tracker returns CBS Sunday, October 13th, part of CBS Premiere Week.
Stay cool, my friends. We're sitting pretty in a stretch of sunshine and warmth. I'll show you in a hot minute. Live from downtown Marquette, it's your 19 News.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kevin Hodge. Tonight on your WZMQ 19 News, Attorney General Dana Nessel closes the case involving notorious sexual predator Larry Nassar and Michigan State University. We'll have the latest on her announcement from today. Plus, we take a closer look as Marquette high school students help us remember 9/11 by planting almost 3,000 American flags on campus. And the Escanaba Department of Public Safety does their part to help raise money for the Special Olympics with their own torch run. Your 19 News at 11 starts now.
Live from the UP, this is WZMQ 19 News at 11.
We had a nice day today. Nice warm temperatures, no rain. That's what I'm talking about. What kind of temperatures are we looking at tonight?
You're welcome. No, I cannot take credit for that, but our temperatures this evening are still fairly warm. We've got around 66 here in Marquette. I should say warm for evening lows. We will be dropping down though into the 50s. We'll talk more about that after the break. Right now we've got fairly clear skies, maybe a little sprinkle here and there, but overall not a whole lot of precipitation in the outlook. But we are talking about a little bit of a heat wave coming up and a full moon. I'll tell you more on the way.
All right, thank you, Air. Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel announced Wednesday that her office has closed its investigation into Michigan State University following the sexual abuse scandal of former university employee and convicted sexual abuser Larry Nassar. Attorney General said this is a disappointing close to their years-long investigation into the abuse that hundreds of young women were subjected to over the course of more than a decade. Nessel said MSU withheld documents throughout the investigation, but eventually cooperated. She said the documents gave no new information or fulfilling answer to the question of how this abuse was able to be perpetuated on so many for so long without MSU or anyone else putting a stop to it. According to Nessel, MSU had initially turned over more than 105,000 documents for her office to review, but held back more than 6,000. Those additional documents were released in March and April.
Because our review revealed no new relevant information, we are closing this investigation. And while this closure is in keeping with the parameters of our investigatory duties, we recognize that it does not provide the type of closure sought by the survivors of Nassar's abuse.
MSU has paid $500 million to settle lawsuits filed by some of Nassar's victims. Today was the 23rd anniversary of 9/11. State lawmakers held a memorial on the Capitol lawn this morning. The legislators were joined by first responders to commemorate the day. 109th District Representative Jen Hill was in attendance alongside Lee Gould, the fire chief for Northern Michigan University and Chocolate Township. The ceremony is hosted at the Capitol each year to remember the day's events and honor the first responders who continue to risk their lives for the American people.
Today is the day that we can honor all those first responders across the nation and hopefully encourage those who want to join the service to, honor those who are here today. The ceremony today was beautiful. It was a wonderful honor to all of those on 9/11.
We have more from UP lawmakers at today's ceremony up on our website and on our mobile news app. The 9/11 terror attacks are still taking a toll on the physical and mental health of survivors and first responders. As we mark 23 years since the attacks, Bradley Blackburn shows us how people are still being diagnosed with 9/11 health conditions and getting treatment through a program that promises care for life.
On September 11, 2001, NYPD Detective Robert Jordan went into the cloud of white debris after the Twin Towers fell.
And when we got down there, it was like night. Everything was dark and gloomy, and it was all from the dust and debris.
He served at Ground Zero after the attacks and was even part of President Bush's security detail during his historic speech in the pit. In 2017, after Jordan had retired, the father of two was diagnosed with stage 4 throat cancer.
It hits you all like a ton of bricks, your family, your medical well-being, everything, and I didn't know what to do.
He found out about the World Trade Center health program at Northwell Health, and after chemotherapy, surgery, and more than 40 radiation treatments, He's now in remission. Care is authorized through the program until 2090. Dr. Jacqueline Moline says many survivors and first responders are just now seeing longer-term health effects from their exposure to toxic dust and debris.
There were so many different cancer-causing substances in the dust and the plume. And you know, the fires burned for 3 months. So there was continued exposure.
Thousands of new patients enroll in the World Trade Center Health Program every year, and cancer is a frequent diagnosis.
When I got sick, I figured I'd be one of the last ones, and I was basically one of the first.
It's why Jordan is determined to tell anyone who was exposed about the care that's available.
Just something everybody needs to know that was down there and sacrificed.
Still helping people in a different way 23 years later.
More than 40,000 people have been diagnosed with 9/11 related cancer. The World Trade Center Health Program is open to anyone who was a responder or survivor at the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, or Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Students at Marquette Senior High School paid tribute to the victims of the 9/11 attacks by planting flags in front of the school this morning. Our John Truitt was there and has this story.
Under a U.S. flag flying at half-staff, dozens of Marquette Senior High School students planted miniature American flags in memoriam of the victims of the 9/11 terrorist attacks 23 years ago. Several groups of students, including Mr. Lancor's U.S. history class, came out to remember an event that happened well before they were even born. Lancor says his students have embraced this project, and although time has dimmed the memory of that awful day for some, these students are determined to keep that memory alive.
But usually after this week, I think we show them enough and we make them feel enough that it's something that should never be forgotten. I think they do get the idea of how very important it is to our country.
The task of planting the flags was done by several different classes throughout the morning, including sophomore Grace Burgess.
It's a really huge part of history, and it's definitely something that sadly could happen again, and those, people can be aware of what could happen.
The students planted 2,977 American flags, which represented each of the innocent lives lost on September 11th, 2001.
This is something that it sticks with them. They remember it. I'll even have kids coming back from my junior classes saying, are we going outside? Are we planting flags this year? And so they want to be a part of it, which is nice to see.
In Marquette, John Truitt, WZMQ 19 News.
This evening, law enforcement and community members ran through the streets of Escanaba for a worthy cause. Escanaba Public Safety led the law enforcement torch run in support of the Special Olympics. Participants of all ages walked, ran, and biked from Elmers County Market to Kathmandu's, which dedicated its classic car and bike night fundraiser to the torch run. The money raised through the torch run allows athletes to compete in the Special Olympics at no cost to them.
Whether it's on the local level or when they go to state games, the torch run has actually been able to sponsor the entire state summer games and the fall games that are coming up. So the local area does not have to fundraise to get the athletes down to those games.
The statewide torch run continues tomorrow in Munising. To learn how you can support the law enforcement torch run and the Special Olympics, visit WZMQ19.com. And coming up next on your 19 News at 11, Airhead's your first warning weather forecast. Plus, Hurricane Francine makes landfall as a Category 2 hurricane in Louisiana. We'll have the latest on its path. And homes are being destroyed in Southern California as wildfires continue to rage on. And police now have one person in custody. We're back in 2 minutes.
Sophia Murphy reports at 6 and 11 on WZMQ 19 News.
She's fair.
Untrue, Your Honor.
What, you're going to have your turn.
She's inquisitive.
What in the world led to this young lady finding you in this compromising situation?
She's very frank.
You should never start anything you're not prepared to finish.
Compassionate.
I see a family that still loves each other, and I'm glad to see it.
And firm.
The only thing that matters in this particular courtroom, sir, is how I see it.
Watch Equal Justice with Judge Ebony K. Williams.
Weekdays on WZMQ CBS. 19 News is brought to you by Kirkish Furniture.
Get an 11% rebate on Menards' great selection of automotive products. Good maintenance equals longer vehicle life. And Menards carries automotive accessories and maintenance products from the most trusted brands to help keep your vehicle on the road. Prevent costly repairs with Shell Rotella T4 heavy-duty diesel motor oil. It offers triple protection, helping control wear, deposits, and emissions. Get a gallon for $13.99 after rebate.
Save big money at Menards.
We are here, around the clock, in all weather. This isn't a job, it's a symphony. Mending hope, stocking the shelf, and being distant when we need to be. Understanding feelings. We don't have all the answers, but we're always present. Your home away from home in medical crisis. And your support brings warmth and comfort to families in need. Please donate today and help us make it home.
Direct.
Don't you ever look up at the sky and roll your eyes. You hear me?
Yes.
Realistic.
I will maybe have a tendency to
spend too much and won't be able to pay your rent.
He holds the line.
I resent it, and I resent you for doing it.
Mathis Court is in session.
Weekdays on WZMQ CBS. Now, award-winning WZMQ 19 First Warning Weather with Air Static.
If it seemed a little hazy out there in the sky, you were not wrong today. We do have some wildfires out there in many locations, actually, and this yellow color is indicating that we were in that moderate smog. That's a new one. Smoke hanging over the area, and the DNR also had some burn restrictions out there. Dickinson County definitely under a no burning, open burning permit situation. Make sure you check the DNR's website every morning at 10 a.m. as they update that map so that you are being safe and cautious. Surprisingly, though, our air quality is still in the green, so that's good news. It might change, though, over the course of the next 24 hours, so just a heads up on that. Our temperatures, though, really nice in those mid and low 60s. The winds are a little bit calmer than what we had yesterday, and then current conditions with the radar is showing we don't have any rain droplets hitting the ground at the moment. However, we do have some chances of fog overnight. We're talking basically the east side here of the Keweenaw Peninsula, so Houghton heads up there. You could see that into your morning commutes, and then down for northern Wisconsin there, even creeping into Iron River and Iron Mountain, and then a little bit of fog in Delta County just north of Escanaba, but overall we should be fairly clear, partly cloudy skies, I should say, this evening, but clear of that fog elsewhere across the UP. Now, that heat, baby, it is back. We have some consecutive days of 80 degrees or more. We'll talk about Iron Mountain, as that is where it's going to be a little bit steamier than everywhere else. Iron River, not far behind. And Newberry, you're still in the game too. But looking at Thursday, we'll see around 86 degrees for Iron Mountain, dropping down just a little bit on Friday, and then down into those cooler 80s on Saturday and Sunday. We might hover in those 80s, though, even into next week. Looking at our highs across the UP tomorrow will be in that mid 70 degree range, with which both Kevin and I are fans of. We'll have about 76 there. It could feel a little bit humid. That is another possibility that's back. And if you are possibly heading to the back to school themed night for the second Thursday monthly evening at the UP Children's Museum, make sure you're taking lots of breaks and drinks of water while you're enjoying that custard, because it's going to be a little bit steamy out there. And then just some safety reminders: make sure you're not leaving any humans or pets in the vehicles. And then again, hydrating for sure, getting out of that sun. Just taking a quick look at September, our record high was back in 2023 of 95 degrees, which was almost 30 degrees above the normal temperature, which is about 66. And then our record Septembers are in that 73, 70 degree range. But I've got more on the way, including your 7-day in 15 minutes.
All right, thanks very much, Air. Francine made landfall in South Louisiana as a Category 2 hurricane with powerful winds and dangerous storm surge. Janice Shamlian is in Gulfport, Mississippi, where a curfew is set to go into effect.
We're getting deep right here.
Heavy storm surge pounded parts of southern Louisiana as Francine came roaring ashore Wednesday night as a Category 2 hurricane. Restaurant manager Melinda Burton was among those preparing for the powerful storm.
We made sure we had all the flaps up in the front of the building because anytime a storm comes, it blows really hard and we're scared it's going to break them.
As Francine inched closer to landfall, its outer bands reached New Orleans.
Stay inside, hunker down, now is the time.
State officials have been working with FEMA for days. At least 2,300 Louisiana National Guardsmen standing by. St. Mary Parish is keeping high water vehicles and boats at the ready.
We just want everybody to be safe. We've been prepping for the storm, getting different things together, chainsaws so that we can clear off roads because if they're closed, we can't get to people that need help.
Hurricane Francine has just come ashore here. There is a continuing threat over the next few hours. Those are an elevated risk of tornadoes, strong rip currents, flooding, and storm surge.
Don't take a storm for granted because we've seen them spin up from nothing to monsters in a very quick period of time.
In Mississippi, Gulfport's mayor is expecting a storm surge of 4 to 6 feet, warning residents not to get complacent.
After landfall, Francine is forecast to cross over southeastern Louisiana before moving northward over Mississippi on Thursday. The storm will weaken quickly once it moves inland, according to the National Hurricane Center. Now to the wildfires Air was talking about. They're ravaging Southern California. Police arrested an arson suspect they believe sparked one of 3 large blazes in the state, 2 of which have exploded in size over the last 24 hours. As Ben Tracy shows us, dozens of homes have been destroyed.
The so-called airport fire took a dramatic turn overnight, torching homes and vehicles as it barreled its way along the border of Orange County. Residents managed to escape the inferno, which has now burned more than 23,000 acres.
The thought about being burnt alive is nuts.
Federico Salinas returned to find his home and animals were spared, but not much else.
This whole neighborhood is gone. What do you make of this?
It's scary. It really is.
In the mountains above Los Angeles, the bridge fire rapidly grew 12 times its size in less than a day and took aim at the community of Wrightwood.
To see a fire that's burning 40,000 acres in 24 hours, it's not an understatement when we say this fire exploded into town.
The wind-driven flames destroyed at least 39 homes and cabins. This woman was among those rescued. A popular ski resort was also threatened.
We have active fire on both sides of this canyon. The heat that exists and the fuel that's still out there presents a very real risk to all of these communities.
Meantime, authorities have arrested and charged 34-year-old Justin Holstenberg for allegedly starting the line fire that has ravaged close to 35,000 acres. Officials say the investigation is not over.
It's my belief that we will actually find out this suspect may have been responsible for other fires.
In California, wildfires have burned nearly 3 times as many acres as last year, and they're just entering the height of wildfire season. Coming up next, we head to Lower Michigan to speak to voters in multiple cities to see how they're feeling about their presidential hopes. We're back after this.
I had a brain aneurysm in the year 2000 here. No one was going to hire someone that had a disability or whatever. I went through a program here at Goodwill well over 20 years ago, and they hired me as soon as I was able to come back to work. They hired many people with disabilities and stuff and get them back into the workforce. My favorite thing I work at Marquette Goodwill is just interacting with the people. It's great atmosphere here and great people here. Goodwill treats everyone really good. It's like a second chance almost, I was going to say. It really gets you back on your feet.
Shop and donate to your local Goodwill.
If you don't have final expense life insurance, this message is for you. LifeCare provides valuable information about whole life insurance to help cover final expenses, medical bills, burial costs, and other final expenses. A final expense life insurance policy is fast and available to anyone between the ages of 50 and 80. No medical exam, no lengthy questionnaires, and no waiting period. To find out how you can get final expense life insurance, call 800-309-8594.
The need is big. Hundreds of kids in Michigan are waiting for you. Big Brothers Big Sisters connects kids across the state with role models to help them navigate through life. Think you don't have the time to be a mentor? 30 minutes over ice cream, a bike ride on a sunny day, a moment to just talk. It may sound small, but the impact on a kid's life is huge. Find out how little it takes at bebigmi.org.
Don't miss the fun of the 2024 UP Ice Fishing and Hunting Expo. This year, there's even more to see and do. Ice fishing lures and performance gear, rods and reels, camping equipment, and tree stands all under one roof, plus food vendors on site. Bring the whole family. Admission's free with a non-perishable item for the food pantry or a donation to the Delta County Animal Shelter. September 20th through the 22nd at the UP State Fairgrounds in Escanaba. The UP Ice Fishing and Hunting Expo is presented by the Daily Press and WZMQ 19 News. You're watching WZMQ 19 News, live and local with Kevin Hodge.
Welcome back, everyone. With Michigan being the battleground state that it is, Major Garrett took to the southern parts of the state to see how voters are feeling about the election. Here's what he uncovered.
Near the middle of politically divided Michigan is Saginaw, Michigan's only boomerang county that backed Obama, then Trump, then Biden. Boarded up buildings and this shuttered train station may make things around here look forgotten. But we can say this with certainty. National candidates have not forgotten Saginaw. We fueled up for breakfast at Levi's Food and Spirits on these big pancakes and 4-egg omelets.
Joy.
Jill Adams is a server here.
How are we doing over here?
For this election, would you say your mind is made up?
Yes.
And that is?
Trump.
Okay. Are you a previous Trump supporter?
The first year he won in 2016, I was not.
Did you vote for Hillary?
I did vote for Hillary, but I
Okay.
cried when she did not win.
Okay. Then what happened?
And then I just felt like he did a good job. I like the fact that he was not a politician.
You believe you were better off 4 years ago?
Oh, absolutely.
Small business owner Andrew Singrati backs Trump too.
Before Harris stepped in, I thought it was going to be like almost a slam dunk. Now I'm not so sure.
Retiree John Brady is backing Vice President Harris.
I worry that fear is going to drive people to vote for somebody who's going to use that fear to take away other people's freedoms. The abortion rights thing is obviously a big issue, and one of the clearest examples of a loss of major freedoms for women in this country.
Would you say Harris excites you in any way?
I like her optimism. She reflects more of what I see.
For lunch, we drove south toward Detroit, stopping in Dearborn at Sahara, a Lebanese restaurant, owned for the past quarter century by Sam Hamoud's family. What is your most popular set of items on the menu?
Shawarma. We go through a lot of shawarma.
Nearby, we found next-door neighbors Rachel Knight and Diane Sikora, who recently retired.
I knew I had enough to make things last the rest of my life. Now I'm kind of questioning it if I should maybe go back to work part-time.
Both friends are backing Trump.
I don't like him as a person, I'll admit it. But I think he's the best thing for the country.
How will you feel if Trump doesn't win, Diane?
Petrified.
Petrified?
Petrified.
Of what may be happening?
All the illegals coming through, they're going to make it up here to Michigan.
What is going on at the border scares me to death. I just hold my breath every day hoping that somebody that I love doesn't get hurt.
Really? You think about it that much?
Yes.
Dearborn, the hometown of Ford Motors, is also home to a lot of immigrants, the largest city with the majority Arab American population anywhere in the country. Many, like Mike Ayoub, lean Democrat, but have broken with the Biden administration over the war in Gaza. And for this community, there really is no other issue right now.
The Arab American community, it's a one issue and one issue ahead.
Do you think they'll sit out the election?
There's a very good chance. Absolutely. I'm considering sitting it out.
Next, we're headed right outside the state capital of Lansing to Eaton County. Eaton County, you see, is a swing county in a swing state. You see, Obama won Eaton County twice. So did Trump. But Trump's 2020 margin was less than 1%. And when I say less than 1%, I mean 499 votes. Eaton Place is the place to eat here. Major Garrett with CBS.
Terry Davis.
Hey, Terry, how are you? When we stopped by, these guys on the wall weren't talking, but these two college roommates were.
He's my best friend. Right. So we're on the same page. Right.
Retired nurse Paul Moudry is a Reagan Democrat who backs Vice President Harris.
There's this idea, and you can certainly hear it in Washington. There's all this excitement for Harris. She's raising all this money, all these volunteers. It's in the bag. Does it feel in the bag?
No, it does not feel in the bag. No, I'm worried the bag's got a big hole in it.
Really?
Yeah, I think there's a rat eating down at the bottom.
Sloan Davis is part of the Harris coalition, but half-heartedly.
I'll vote for Harris. Yeah.
Sounds kind of meh, though.
I'm a pretty passionate person, and I'm not passionate about either of them.
The middle school counselor makes ends meet by helping cook burgers here in her parents' restaurant. But Davis says her vote also is about something more personal.
Well, I am getting married this year.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you, to a woman. And of course, there is always that burning question in the back of your head. Like, what if? Because I don't want that right to be taken away.
And like many we met in Michigan, she yearns for a brighter future.
Even if the person I vote for doesn't win, I do believe in tomorrow. So that's what I'm hopeful for.
Following last night's presidential debate, Senator Debbie Stabenow says that Kamala Harris has proven she is the candidate for Michigan voters. Stabenow supports the plans Harris outlined to lower costs for American families, emphasizing that her performance shows she is the candidate who has a focus on the things that the people of Michigan care about. With less than 2 months left in the race, Stabenow says the enthusiasm for Harris-Walz's ticket will make a difference up and down the ballot.
I want to move forward. I'm so sick of the negative and people pitting, all of us against each other. We want to move forward. And the exciting thing, that's what Kamala Harris offers. She and Tim Walz, that's what they offer.
We have more of that interview with Stabenow and a statement from Republican Senate candidate Mike Rogers on our website, WZMQ19.com. And today on Capitol Hill, lawmakers unveiled a new bipartisan aviation safety caucus. The caucus will aim to advance critical aviation safety policies that prioritize the long-term safety of American airspace. Congressman Jack Bergman, who spent decades flying military and civilian aircraft, will serve as a co-chair of the caucus. He says one of the policies the new caucus will work to pass is the bipartisan Safer Skies Act. Lawmakers say the legislation would enhance safety standards and close a loophole which allows some operators, like ticketed charter flights, to circumvent certain safety requirements that you might see on commercial airlines.
Worldwide, we set the standards in so many ways, and that's why the United States aviation is so highly regarded. We got some legislation to pass, and we're going to get it done because it means more security for our aviation passengers. We live in a world where we need to know who's who.
Aviation experts, industry leaders, and pilots were also in attendance for today's unveiling of new caucus. What kind of weather can we look forward to in the near future? Air lets us know with a final look at the weather when we come back.
Tonight, Colbert's Live after the debate with John Dickerson.
We'll have all the post-debate news, like who won, who lost, and did anyone get slimed?
At the Alzheimer's Association Walk to End Alzheimer's, this is why we walk. This is why we walk. They're why we walk. And you know what? This is why we walk too. We walk in the Alzheimer's Association Walk to End Alzheimer's because we're getting closer to beating this disease. But to get there, we need you. Join us. Hey!
I'm Melissa Slotkin, and I'm running to be your next U.S. Senator. My life in public service started on 9/11.
I joined the CIA and served 3 tours in Iraq alongside our military. I came back to work in the White House for 2 presidents, 1 Democrat, 1 Republican, serving whoever was my commander-in-chief. For me, service is not about partisanship. It's about doing what's right to protect our country. I approve this message because I refuse to let politics split us apart. When we work together, there's no problem we can't solve.
On the next edition of Comics Unleashed, with your host, Byron Allen, as 5 of the most hilarious comics take it to the edge every night, and nothing is off limits.
That's what I learned in any relationship. Communication is the most important thing. Yeah. The more you can avoid it, the better you'll do. Just avoid it altogether.
Comics Unleashed.
Weekdays on WZMQ CBS.
It's hilarious. Hidden camera. Hijinks. Just for laughs, gags.
Quiet night on the roads and in the sky for Escanaba. We've got lows dropping down into the 50s, relatively mild conditions. And yes, we do have some clear skies, but don't be surprised if you see a few clouds out there. We do have muggy conditions returning really rapidly on our Sunday, and then a little bit of humidity on Monday as well here in Marquette. And then just a reminder, up in the sky, we do have a full moon on the way. That is going to start Tuesday, September 17th. It peaks at 10:35 in the evening Eastern time, of course. It's the super harvest moon, and it's the harvest moon, not the corn moon, because it's the moon of the season that's closest to the fall equinox. But it's also a partial lunar eclipse. So if you are a sky geek, it's your time. And then we also have the Aurora Borealis. That is tomorrow evening, lows in the 50s. Should be a good night for that.
All right, thanks, Air. Several Gwynn organizations are teaming up to feed the community, starting with students. Gwynn's Lions Club is helping the Gwynn Seed Library plant a new garden outside Gwynn High School. The new garden will grow fruits and vegetables like tomatoes, melons, squash, potatoes, and carrots. All the food will go to the school to help round out student lunches with fresh produce. The Seed Library and Lions Club also hope to be able to use what they learn here to impact the whole UP.
Goal is to be able to give those seeds away to families all throughout the UP, through the Lions, through other organizations, and be able then to share what we have and help them grow better.
The garden is expected to grow over 500 pounds of food through the school year and even more next summer. And that's all we have for now. We'll catch you tomorrow.
Club Create, the Art of Possibilities, is a collaboration formed by Michigan Arts Access and the Houghton Possibilities Program, powered by Goodwill Industries of Northern Wisconsin and Upper Michigan. Club Create opens its doors to any person in our community who has a developmental disability. The goal of Goodwill's Possibilities Program is to help participants develop functional